Hey everyone, welcome to Retaliatory Strike. Today we have another Brawlmachine game here for you between myself, Ryan, playing Circle, and Bob playing Khador.
Hello everyone, I'm Bob, and today I have Strahkov 1 in the Wolves of Winter theme. And he's got Drago and Ruin, so I've got two character beasts, Jacks rather, neither of which are Strahkov's character. We've got Harlowe, Koldun Lord, a unit of Doom Reavers with the Escort, and a Ternion. My concept being that Drago can use his imprint to get to from def 11 to def 13, and superiority brings that to defense 15. So you can make a defense 15 Khador heavy, which is cool. And then Ruin is awesome for slapping off upkeeps and just a real tough jack in general. And Strahkov's feat makes things launch roll fire. Since the Doom Reavers haven't already launched, they can, and the jacks maybe can be the second wave blitzing in behind with Strahkov's feet up is kind of the intent. And that's my list.
Hey everyone, I'm Ryan. Today I'm running Kromac 1 again, and Devour's Host this time. So I brought Kromac with a Ghetorix and Wild Argus. I brought Lord of the Feast, a Primal Archon, the Boil Master and Spirit Cauldron, the Death Wolves, and a Shifting Stones unit. So the idea behind this, we kind of spitballed it here, and because there's such a premium on attacks in this format, we figured the Death Wolves would be really strong, being able to just negate up to 3 attacks if they're full of corpses, which is kind of the idea behind there. And I brought the Boil Master and Spirit Cauldron to help fuel them up on the way in, so then they can more reliably take an alpha and survive and then be able to munch through. I brought Ghetorix because what I noticed was there was a lot of difficulty with armor cracking in the last game, and Ghetorix being able to hit at 19s without any damage buffs other than his warp was probably the best bet. And then I brought the Wild Argus because if I can get Kromac to the caster, being able to Doppler Bark and make them defense 15 or 5, and then have 14 additional attacks on top of that, it's probably going to kill most casters. So that was the idea behind that list. So we rolled off, and I won the roll off and chose to go second so I could get the side without acid. For terrain, bottom left we have rough terrain, middle of the bottom is a rubble template, just beside that to the right is a trench template. Middle of the left is acid pool. Middle of the zone is forest. Just to the right and a little bit up is water. And then in the middle of the zone at the top is a wall. And to the left of that is another wall.
So, I deploy first, so I put Strahkov in the middle, because he doesn't mind the acid pool, he's immune to it, and his Pathfinder, so he can go splash around in the acid. I put the jacks on each side of him, no particular thought there. I do leave Drago back enough so I can get a spell onto the Ternion. And then I advance deploy after your deployment. I move my doomies to the one side, opposite of my Ternion, which is a bit of a mistake on my part.
For my deployment, I put Kromac in the middle with Ghetorix right beside. I put the Primal Archon right up at the top to go after that top flag. And I put the pot at the bottom because I think I'm going to deploy the Death Wolves into that trench. And then I'm just making sure that nothing's in Harlowe's walk and shoot range. And I put the Lord of the Feast up at the top there to help assist the Primal Archon. And that is deployment.
Khador, turn 1. Okay. So, first thing I do is have Strahkov start putting out spells. So I put Occultation up on the Ternion, I put Superiority up on Drago, and I put Sentry up on Strahkov. And then Strahkov fails a charge at some Death Wolves, does a little splash in the acid pool. That's cool. So I'm thinking Occultation on the Ternion might just help keep them safer from the Lord of the Feast bird, really. That's all I'm thinking about there. I run up Harlowe, making sure the Lord of the Feast can't walk and bird at him. I run up Drago 12 inches because superiority on him is awesome. I check the threat ranges of the Death Wolves, and I run the Doom Weavers just shy of that melee threat. Hoping to use them later. I run Ruin up behind them, backing them up. Run my Koldun Lord up over there so he's in range on that flag. And then run my Ternion up, and that is my turn.
Circle, turn 1. So, first thing I check is, can I engage Harlowe with one of my Death Wolves? And I can. So I walk up the pot, I roll one corpse, and hand both of its corpses to the one Death Wolf, who then goes and engages Harlowe and some Doom Reavers. The other Death Wolf runs up and engages 2 more Doom Reavers, and the third one hangs out in the forest to be that second wave. After that, I go with Kromac. I put up Bestial and Warpath, and then he walks, and then the shifting stones teleport him into the forest where he can't be seen. And then my Primal Archon runs up, and then I have Lord of the Feast redeploy down into that trench to go into the Doom Reavers. I rile and run the Wild Argus, and then rile and run Ghetorix.
Khador, turn 2. Okay, so I have a mouthful of Death Wolf Jam. So my Doom Reavers operate around a little bit. One guy getting out where you can get a lane, wait to launch way deep, and a couple guys getting a running start so they can get real charges off. Ultimately, the real charges don't really matter because any damage they do just turns into 1 if he spends a corpse. Don't really allocate anything to any jacks. Cool. Oh, Strakhov uses his Sentry spell to try a shot at a Death Wolf and misses because it needs boxcars to hit. All Strakhov's spells are kept for free because he's resourceful as battle group. I dropped the Occultation off the Ternion though because I figure it's not going to matter. And then I'm in the tank a little bit because that mouthful of jam is hard to chew. Trying to figure how I'm going to do this. I want to free up Harlowe. I want to kill some Death Wolves. I've also kind of got my Doom Reavers in my own way a little bit. I was thinking I could have maybe moved up Ruin. Oh, I allocated to Ruin too because he's going to try to hit some Death Wolves. Yeah, maybe I should have pushed my guys up first and then get Ruin up where you get more souls on them, but I kind of goofed a little on that. So now I'm getting ready to launch my Doomies out. So there's some fake charges, there's some real charges, but again, doesn't really matter. One guy gets a good real charge off though at the
Wild
Argus. And then I just run my escort up, making sure I keep everyone in command range, which is great. Also relevantly, because Bestial's up, I couldn't do any spells, like I couldn't do the Relentless Charge or the Entropic Aura. I connect and crank damage in that Wild Argus, which is great. I start connecting some hits on the one of the Death Wolves, get rid of that corpse, and then do damage and kill. Then take a lot of swings at the last Death Wolf, who's on 3 corpses, and I do 1, which breaks armor and makes him spend a corpse, and then the other two guys miss. Yeah, so he's still there. I'm looking to see here what I can do that might be useful. Ruin can't quite walk and get in, so he has to pay to charge to get in. So he charges in. He starts slapping this last Death Wolf around because he's mat 8 and he's real good at hitting stuff. He makes him spend his corpses, but then runs out of focus, so we still have a live Death Wolf situation. Now I'm looking at what else I can do. I know I can run my turn in to engage that Primal Archon, so it doesn't get the counter charge stuff, so that's good. I then have Harlowe Gunfighter that Death Wolf off, and Ruin takes his soul for later, so that's great. Then I have Harlowe start ghost shotting at the other Death Wolf in the woods, and he connects with some hits, but doesn't do enough damage to kill him. He does like 2 points of damage, so he doesn't have to spend his corpse, he just takes 2 points of damage. I then run Strahkov onto the flag, staying outside of... Oh no, I run him off the flag because I want to stay outside of 13 of Kromac so I don't get assassinated. Run my Koldun Lord onto the flag for scoring, and walk Drago and use his imprint, so we have a Def 15 Drago. Then I run my Greylord Ternion up to engage that Primal Archon.
Circle, turn 2. So I leech in all my fury, I'm back up to 7, and I pay 1 to upkeep Warpath, so I'm on 6 fury right now. I go with the Primal Archon, who goes up and he crushes Ternion, which does pretty reliably. From there, I go up with the dog. His mind is out, so I Doppler bark, arf, arf, and so then I literally can't miss him, and then he finishes eating the Doom Reaver. From there, I go up with the pot, and I give one to the Lord of the Feast, because I can only roll one corpse, it seems. From there, I'm going with Caleb, who can see Harlowe, so he charges him and he hits, and then he kills him on the charge. He overtakes in, and he's on 2 corpses now, and he does his next initial into Doom Reaver, and Bob just can't roll any toughs, which is great for me. So then I start overtaking and buying, and I can't quite get to anyone else, so I overtake into Ruin and Drago, and I have 3 corpses, so he's going to be tough to remove. After that, I'm looking here with the Lord of the Feast, because I think I can charge and get into the back arc of this guy, which would be good, so this is just us checking it here. So if we do it there, we find a spot that just works, so I charge in, not Snake Eyes to hit. I hit, and with Grievous Wounds, he can't tough, so that's great for me. And then I bird at the middle Doom Reaver, go in there and start buying attacks, and I hit and kill everyone that I can reach, and then I'm sitting up there with 3 corpses on me, so high armor, Lord of the Feast at least. After that, I go with Kromac, and I'm putting up Bestial again, because I don't want Bob to ever be able to cast Overrun and be able to do Overrun shenanigans with me. And I'm trying to think if I can cast a spell at the Ternion, and I can't, and then I'm looking to see if Ghetorix can reach Drago, and he's just like a millimeter out, so I decide to just put up Inviolable Resolve on him, and from there, Ghetorix can't get over to Ternion. I forgot about that I upkept Warpath this whole turn, which is part of the reason why I couldn't send him in on something, because I probably would have gone and beat up Ruin if I could have, but oh well. So I'm just trying to plan things out, and I decide I'm gonna body block with stones up here, so I move him up, and then I just shift Ghetorix, put up Spiny Growth, and rile with them, so I can have full fury next turn.
Khador, turn 3. Okay, so check my guys get power-ups, checking my range to see if I get Sentry Shot off. I do. I miss because it's engaged immediately and hard to hit. Haven't made any use of a Sentry this game, really. I just wanted to have a spell on myself. So I'm looking at a plan. I'm thinking Strahkov could go up and do his feat and catch a few guys, and then I could launch a Jack out if I can clear Lord of the Feast and Caleb out of the way. So maybe we can pull that off, I'm thinking. I'm also looking to see if I can cast Overrun from there, and it's like, oh yeah, Bestial's a thing, so I can't cast spells where I want to be. So like, okay, well I can still back up Strahkov out of 14 of Kromac, and then I can cast Overrun. So I'm looking at a plan where I put Overrun on Ruin, get after clearing Caleb out of the way, I can then go up, punch that Sentry Stone, Shifting Stone, I mean, and then Overrun onto Ghetorix and punch him a bunch of times. So I full load Drago, try to clear Caleb out, because he's only able to do 1 point of damage at a time with those corpses. I give 2 to Ruin, planning on converting that soul into a focus for him when he does his activation. And we work out where Strahkov needs to stand to be outside of bestial range so I can cast spells to get that Overrun onto Ruin. So I get Overrun onto Ruin. I roll up some shots to at least try to shoot at, I think at the, what do you call him, Lord of the Feast. So I try some shots, and they don't hit. Strahkov hasn't really connected a whole lot of shots this game. That's okay. So, once I'm done missing a bunch of times, then it's time to activate Drago to go chop down Caleb. So I'm thinking, hopefully I can chop them all down. If I don't, maybe he'll explode and kill him. But so I missed 1 or 2. Anyway, I do hit a lot. I chop them down, burn through all his corpses, but wasn't able to clear them. So now I'm thinking, crap, I think I'm going to have to just have Ruin punch at Caleb and Lord of the Feast. That's really all I've got at this point. So Ruin goes to punch at them, so I'm not going to get a whole lot of use at Overrun. Although, I think I forget that I could have still overran him after killing something. I think I forget to move him after this. So I could have killed the Lord of the Feast and Caleb and then overran him somewhere. But I take their souls anyways, for what it's worth.
Well, you didn't end up killing Caleb. He's still...
Oh, do I not even kill Caleb? I killed Lord of the Feast at least, but yeah, holy crap.
Circle, turn 3. So I leech in all my fury. I pay 2 to upkeep Inviolable Resolve and Warpath. And then first thing I check is, can I stay on the flag and reach both of the Greylord Ternions with the Primal Archon? And I can't, so he just swings and kills a Ternion after healing a point of damage, which he does.
Yeah, because I forgot to mention last turn, I did charge in the Ternion and chip a little damage in.
So I use that kill because now that I still have Warpath up, I decide to Warpath Ghetorix up. So I move him up. And then from there, I teleport him up with the stones so that he doesn't have to walk into Ruin, I guess. And then I warp strength and I start beating on Ruin. I'm doing a lot of like 4 and 3 damage without a ton of damage spikes, with it being dice off 1. And I do core out Ruin, so his Cortex is out at least. And then I miss with my second last attack and I decide to just put up Spiny Growth with them. Or sorry, I did all my attacks, missed with the last one, he just has Inviolable Resolve on him. And then I move up with Kromac. I put up Bestial again because I hate when he casts spells. I rile and run the Wild Argus. And then here I'm looking with the pot here, what he can get into. I was originally thinking of Puppet Mastering Ruin, so then I can possibly have him miss his Dispel Mace. But I can't. And then there was just Caleb attacking Drago, I believe. And then I move up the pot, and because I forgot about Corpse Collection all 3 games, I try a Spirit Lash at the Koldun Lord and miss because I couldn't boost.
Khador, turn 4. Okay, so Kromac's in front of me, still in little Kromac mode, not beast mode, so I'm thinking this might be the best chance I have to kill him. I try my sentry shot, which continues to fail to do anything. Actually, no, I hit the dog with that one and do something to it, actually. So sentry finally mattered a little bit. So, I'm looking at what I could do, and I'm going, okay, I could try to power down Ghetorix to my Jax and just run Strahkov away, and then he doesn't have a whole lot of models left. That doesn't seem very fun. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do is, Strahkov's going to try and kill Kromac while he's still little Kromac. He's going to go for the jugular. So I'm going to have my Jax, without allocating any focus to my Jax, try to beat up on Ghetorix real good. And then if they kill him, that's super awesome, because right now Kromac's only sitting at 1 transfer, and the dog's beat up from my sentry shot hitting it. So that could be a thing. But yeah, so Ruin goes and slaps a Dispel Mace onto Ghetorix, knocking off Inviolable Resolve, and beats him up a bit. So now the Inviolable Resolve is off, and he's beat up a little bit. Then I send in Drago, so Drago can try to finish him off, maybe? But again, this is all without any focus. But superiority means Drago's mat 9, so he'll have a good chance at this. So I go in, and I'm chopping, and Ghetorix is healing and healing like he does. And we wind up leaving him on 1 box, and he heals back like 3, so he's fully functional. That rapid healing is nuts. So I'm looking at what I can do. Strakhov will need to pop his feet to get the charge distance. I have my Koldun Lord back up out of bestial range. I put Puppet Master on Strakhov, so we can re-roll if he misses or really whiffs. I then have Strakhov pop his feet. Figuring out a charge line here, because like there's a chance I could get bit by a dog, there's a chance I could get clotheslined by Ghetorix's axe. Eventually we figure out there's not a lane that threads a needle between them, so I'm going to take one or the other. I decide, screw it, I'll gamble on Ghetorix. So I take the charge lane, Ghetorix takes a big swing at me, hits me, rolls not amazing damage, but still plus a bunch. So like he does some real damage to me. I survive like 4 boxes, but I make it. And I'm like, okay, cool, I made it. This is the all or nothing. I need to roll 8s to hit Kromac. I do. My charge damage isn't amazing. I think about puppet mastering it. I decide not to. I then start buying attacks, and I don't boost any of them. I just keep hard rolling 1/8 after the other and landing hits. They're not doing amazing damage, but they all hit, and then they kill, and I win.
Game 2 deployment. So that sucked. So I chose, I'm gonna switch it up here, and I'm gonna try to go first this time and see how different it feels. So I put Kromac right in the middle again because I want him as far up the board as possible. I put the Ghetorix just below him, and then down at the bottom flag there I have the Argus across from it to hopefully go and contest his flag. And the Primal Archon up top with the Crockpot right below him there. I'm wanting the Primal Archon to go after that flag again. And then Bob's deployment.
Yeah, so this time I'm putting my Ternion on top, and well, they were on top last time, but I've got a plan to put Doom Reavers there too. Most of my deployment looks pretty much the same. I think I swap which side, Ruin and Drago arm for kicks, but nothing too wild.
And then for my advanced deployment, I put the shifting stones so Kromac can walk into them and then get teleported forward. And then the Death Wolves just below, and then Lord of the Feast up top to go and contest the help with that flag in case it was just the Ternions again. But
yeah, this time I put the Doomies up there too, so they can play together. It's not a lot of targets for me to use the Ternion to recur my Doom Reavers, but
and then Harlowe at the bottom there.
Yeah.
Circle, turn 1. So pretty standard turn 1 here. So I put up Warpath and Bestial, and then I walk Kromac up, and then the shifting stones teleport him up, and that's mostly just so then he doesn't have an option of walking forward and then doing any spells or anything. After that, I check the threat ranges on the apparating Doom Reavers and keep Lord of the Feast and the Primal Archon out of that. I walk up with my Crockpot, I roll 1 corpse again and give both of the corpses, because it starts with 1, to one of the Death Wolves, and then they run up to go and threaten that flag. I then rile and run both beasts up to back up my troops there, and that's my turn.
Khador, turn 1. Okay, so I'm looking to see what I can do. I'm thinking if Strakhov walks up and does his feat, I can catch Kromac. If I'm just out for Lord of the Feast, so I'm like, you know what? If I fail a charge at the Primal Archon, I can definitely get my feet bubble to encompass Kromac and Lord of the Feast, and maybe that Primal Archon too, I'm thinking. I don't check the Primal Archon, and I should. I apparate my Doom Reavers up, and I'm thinking, okay, I should be able to deliver 1 onto Kromac, 2 onto Lord of the Feast, and I was hoping to put the rest into the Primal Archon. I then think, okay, do I go full camp or do I get a spell out? I'm like, I'll put a spell on Drago, put superiority on Drago, and then I'll do my thing. I maybe should have just gone full camp, but I wanted to try to get my 1 spell out, my 1 awesome spell before getting into bestial range the rest of the game. So Strahkov feats, fails a charge at the Primal Archon. So I got my feet bubble up a little higher. I'm hoping to use Strahkov's feet offensively to get an early blow in on Ryan to savage that flank real bad. Here I'm looking to see you launching those Doomies. So the Escort's just out of bestial range, so I can cast his Relentless Charge spell and then launch my Doomies in. So I got 1 on Kromac, 2 on Lord of the Feast, then trigger counter charge on the Primal Archon, who goes in and pastes that Doom Reaver, and then the AoE on that knocks down the second Doom Reaver and Lord of the Feast. So that's pretty wild. But now the Primal Archon is within my feet range, so now my Doom Reavers can reach it. So I pile in the remaining 3 Doom Reavers on that Primal Archon, and then run my Escort in, just keep everyone in command. So that's kind of cool. It was a wild charge to get off there. I immediately missed my swing on Kromac, and the one who was still on Lord of Thieves knocked down. So the rest pile in on the Primal Archon and power some big hits in and kill it. And thanks to silence from the escort, they don't need to start chopping each other up, so that's great. Then I look at where I want to move the rest of my models. I'm thinking of bubble wrapping Strakhov as best I can, so maybe Kromac at least can't pop behind me, because I know he could walk and jump and get on me, but I'm hoping between my big camp and bubble wrapping him a bit, maybe I'll survive a Kromac to the face. Probably wishful thinking, but that's what I'm thinking. So I walk up Drago and do his imprint, so I've got my Def 15 Khador Jack, which, you know, is cool. You don't see that too often. I have, what's his name, Harlowe aim and start shooting, and he kills Caleb, because he's got a beef with Caleb from last game. He Swift Hunters a bit, and then shoots some more at the big guy with the axe. So I try that. And take a corpse off him. The Death Wolves are real hard to kill. So then I run Ruin up, and I run my Ternion up to try and bubble wrap Strakhov, and that's my turn. That's about her.
Circle, turn 2. So I leech in all my fury here, and I know that he's within 13 of Kromac, so I go beast mode because he's going to walk and eat Strakhov. And because I totally forgot about Warpath all game, I convinced myself that Warpath was always up. So I go with the Death Wolves first. I send the first one in to try to clear out some of that jam, which he does pretty good. And then I just forgot to run Talia there, so I run her up to engage Drago and Holdemhigh, Harlowe. And then here's me warpathing when I shouldn't have been able to, and I can see that Ghetorix can see the Ternion, and he'll be able to overtake off of the Ternion.
So I try free strike with the Ternion and miss.
Or I think he did a point.
Oh no, I hit him, but he fades it with a corpse.
Yeah.
Give 1 point damage.
So Ghetorix can get in on Strakhov, which would probably kill Strakhov, and then I use my other 2 corpses with that Death Wolf to get some damage into Strakhov and start stripping some focus from him. So that was good. And then I go with the Lord of the Feast. So his first initial has to hit everyone in his combat. So I hit the guy standing in front of Kromac, and then I also hit Kromac and do some damage to him. It was a little bit rough. And then I warpathed again, even though I shouldn't have been able to. And then Lord of the Feast missed his bird, needing not once. And so I send in Ghetorix, who kills that guy. He warped for Murderous, and then he overtakes into Strakhov. And I start buying attacks, and I realize I'm going to kill Strakhov, but I wanted to showcase Kromac killing a caster. So I just put up Spiny Growth, and then I walk and jump, or I run the Argus to make sure that he's within control range. And then I walk and jump. Kromac barks at Strakhov. He's like, so he's defense 5, and then he starts buying it or attacking him. I boosted damage and I just killed him. So in the end, it didn't really change the game by sending in Ghetorix. Like, I could have killed him no matter what, and I really should have just done it that way, or I could have not gone beast mode and won with Ghetorix. So it was a good game. Game 3 deployment. So Bob lost last game, so he chose to go first, and I decided to stick with the same side. I like this side. So
Strakhov likes playing in the big acid bath, so it works out for everybody. So I put Strak in his jacks up the middle, put the Ternion on the top, and Koldun Lord hanging out, hoping to maybe get on that flag or help out Strakhov or something.
For my deployment, I'm putting Kromac in the middle with Ghetorix just above, and then the Crockpot just below, and then I put the Wild Argus above Ghetorix. I put the Primal Archon at the bottom there because I'm wanting him to go and maybe get to his flag and contest or kill stuff off of it, and then advanced deployment.
So yeah, I put my Doomies in the bottom, so they're not playing near their Ternion again, but Ryan also isn't playing a lot of regular troops I can kill with Bonzo to get recursion on my Doom Reavers, so it's not super relevant where the Ternion is based on where the Doomies are.
And you put Harlowe up top.
Yes.
And then for me, I put the Death Wolves kind of in that trench again, and I put Lord of the Feast at the bottom there because I'm wanting him to fight the Doom Reavers, and then the stones so I can put up Bestial and then teleport up into the middle of the board there. So that's good.
Khador, turn 1. Okay, so Strahkov's gonna want to put out his spells, so I wind up putting a Sentry on himself again, Superiority on Drago, and Occultation on Ruin for all your shooting. But I think it'll help keep him being, at least you can't like bird at him so good. And Strahkov has a little splash around in the acid bath, whatnot. I just run Harlowe to the flags, so I can reach him from there. I run up my Ternion, run up Ruin. I forgot to apparate my Doom Reavers, but it doesn't really matter because I just want to run them up behind the woods, being real careful to keep them outside of Lord of the Feast's birding range because I don't want Lord of the Feast to come kill a whole pile of them right away. So they're outside of charge range of the Death Wolves, or outside of bird range of the Lord of the Feast. It's great. Run up my Koldun Lord, run up Drago, just run up Drago. There he is.
Circle, turn 1. So I see that he ran Drago and he stayed just out of my bird range, so I just run the Lord of the Feast to threaten that flank. I move up the pot, I roll up 2 corpses, or 1 corpse again, and give them out to the Death Wolf, so one of them's on 3 again. I run up the Primal Archon to threaten with counter charges there. I then run up the Wild Argus and to threaten Harlowe, and then I moved up Kromac to put up Warpath and Bestial, and then walked up and then teleported him, and then I moved the Death Wolves in the way so he doesn't get ganked by Doom Reavers, and then growled and run Ghetorix.
Khador, turn 2. Okay, so free up keeps all the spells, so why not? There's nothing for me to sentry at. I'm gonna apparate some Doom Reavers because that's a real awesome theme benefit. So I'm gonna apparate some Doom Reavers, 1 out to the side so you can see Ghetorix and Death Wolf. Couple of them into the woods so they can see some Death Wolves. And then the other ones apparate just to have a nice clear lane at the Primal Archon. Then, do I need to allocate focus? Nah. I was like, I could maybe launch Drago at something, but I don't want to. So, I have Harlowe aim and shoot at the Wild Argus. So, he needs 5s to hit. He hits 3 times out of 4 and almost kills Wild Argus.
Hit him on 3 boxes.
Like, Harlowe is absolutely mental. I walk up my turn and think, oh, Bonzo Woe, and try to finish off that Wild Argus. And then you're like, oh yeah, Bestial's up. And I'm like, oh yeah, I call you some real bad names because it's so annoying when your models can't do the thing they're trying to do because you cast a spell. So, like, I guess I won't cast spells at the Wild Argus. I'll hope he burns to death next turn. And I'll just be there. So I move on with my turn. I should have done something different with my turn yet, apparently. But, anyway, look at charging in. I decide to charge at Ghetorix instead of the Death Wolf, because if the Death Wolf gets hit, he does 1 point of damage to Death Wolf, but if I hit Ghetorix, he'll do a whole bunch. So that makes sense. So then I charge in and engage the Primal Archon, so it doesn't get to counter charge anything. And I charge in on some Death Wolves, get 2 guys on that guy, hoping if they both connect, maybe I can actually kill him, and launch 2 in on the Primal Archon. So 2 of the Primal Archon are Shadowbound, because just walking near that guy is left a Shadowbind you, which is super annoying. And then I just move the Escort and the last guy up. Now I'll start swinging. So I'll crank a big hit into the Primal Archon, do a bunch of damage, and do I hit again and do more damage? Yeah, he's not dead, but
you didn't break armor on the first hit, and then you over half health.
Oh yeah. So whiff damage on one, crank it on the next one. Pretty cool. Then I crank big damage into Ghetorix, which is super awesome. So
you also hit the Death Wolf with 1, took 1 point of damage, and then missed with the other one.
Yeah. That ability to just spend a course like 1 point of damage is mental. I run up Ruin just to beat up the table a little bit. Looking at what I can do here, I'm like, yeah, if Strahkov were to get his feet under Lord of the Feast, I could maybe launch out or something, or into the launch Drago at the thing, but that seems like a waste of a feat. So I'm looking at what I can do. I could reach him with the Koldun Lord. So, like, yeah, I'll charge a Koldun Lord in, Mat 5. But Lord of the Feast is only Def 12, so I roll 7 and hit him. and then crank damage and leave him on 2 boxes. Pretty impressive for a support wizard. Then just run Strahkov on the flag and run up walk up Drago and imprint. And that is my turn.
Circle, turn 2. So I roll fire and it goes out on the Wild Argus, so that's really, really great because all he had to roll was a 5, I believe, to kill, or a 6 to kill him. First thing, and then I leech in all my fury and I upkeep Warpath. I move up the pot and I make 1 corpse and I give it to Talia. And then I start going with the Death Wolves here to clear out these Doom Reavers because I checked and Strahkov is in the threat range of the Primal Archon. So Caleb goes over, he kills the 1 Doom Reaver, and once again I forgot about corpse collection on the pot, so it should be filling up on corpses, but it's not. And then, so Caleb's on 2 corpses and kind of in the forest there, and then I have Skull go in and he starts clearing out the Doom Reavers that are on Talia. And then he is overtaking up, he's hitting, so he's on 2 corpses and he can get to the unit leader. I buy an attack, I miss with double 1s, and then I buy an attack hit and I roll a 3, so I end up leaving him alive on like 1 box, which is not great. And then I go with Talia, who kills the 1 Doom Reaver, overtakes up, kills the other one with her next initial, and he doesn't tough on any of them. And that she's there with 3 corpses, and then I charge in the Primal Archon. So he charges in, and he hits the Strahkov with his charge attack, and I chip some damage in. He's fading it. So he's crushing into him, bang bang. And then here I'm looking to see if the Lord of the Feast can kill this guy and get a bird onto Strahkov. He can. So he attacks him, kills him, gets another corpse, and I need not Snake Eyes to hit Strahkov, which I roll. So now Lord of the Feast is sitting there looking like an idiot, unfortunately. And then I have forgotten about Warpath again all game, so Ghetorix can still get to these guys here, so I decide to charge in and get these guys. He warps from Murderous and he starts killing and overtaking in. So he kills the first Ternion with his bite, and then he axes Harlowe, which just kills him. I overtake up and I can kill the second last Ternion there, forgetting about Warpath again, so then I can't reach the last one. I should have moved by 3 inches with him there, but I don't. And then I Warpath up the Wild Argus so he can just walk up and get him. I put up Bestial, and I also healed the Wild Argus there, so he's uncrippled. And then I walk up with the Wild Argus. I boost to hit instead of Doppler barking and making it so it's not Snake Eyes to hit. Hit him and kill him, and then riled him up to full. And that's my turn.
Khador, turn 3. Okay, so Strahkov's got a Primal Archon in his face, but he ain't scared. So I allocate some focus to Ruin, because I think Ruin's going to go fight Ghetorix, who's softened up from that Doom Reaver, so hopefully he can just kill him. I'm thinking Drago is going to... I'm thinking maybe I'll have him go try to kill a Shifting Stone and a Death Wolf or 2. And then I'm kind of realizing, fuck, like that's a lot of corpses on the one guy who it's so annoying trying to beat through that. I was originally thinking I'm going to have Strahkov stand up and try to knife a Primal Archon to death, but like Primal Archon's a real good armor, so that actually maybe doesn't happen. So if I'd thought longer, I would have been like, yeah, I'll send in Drago on it. But anyways, I send Ruin in on Ghetorix. Ruin slaps him. So I don't remember if you had Inviolable Resolve on him or not there, but if you did, it would be gone.
No, I think he just had Spiny Growth.
Oh, Spiny Growth gets slapped off, and then we smack him a few times and kill him. And we get to Camp of Focus. And then we steal his soul for later. And then I'm looking here thinking, you know what, the more I think about it, the more I think Strahkov probably can't kill a Primal Archon on his own. And also, beating up a Death Wolf and maybe a rock sounds dumb. So I'm like, you know what? I'm pretty confident that Drago can kill a Primal Archon. So I walk him over, and he starts chopping. And sure enough, he chops up a Primal Archon real good. I think I go through all his focus doing it though, so I can't imprint. But oh no, I do. I do have one left, so I imprint him. So at least that helps counterbalance the Shadowbind a bit. But then, now I ask Ryan, like, hey, could you be it, bro, and let me pay to stand up Strahkov, like I would have done if I'd actually thought about my turn?
You were just out of 5 of the Lord of the Feast, so you couldn't like stand up and shoot or anything.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he's bro, and let's see, pay to stand up Strahkov, like I would have did if I thought about my turn, like I should have. I charge in, I boost chance to hit, I kill the Lord of the Feast. Strahkov has sprint, so he sprints back onto the flag, so I can score a point at the end of this. That's cool. So props to Ryan for being a nice guy and letting Strahkov be awesome. I charge the Ternion, Greylord Escort, in on Deathwolf and miss. And that's my turn.
Circle, turn 3. So I leech in all my fury here, and I'm looking at it, and I don't really need any upkeeps or anything, so I decide to go beast mode with Kromac this game because Warpath isn't going to matter now that all I have is a Wild Argus. So I go beast mode, drop all my upkeeps, and then I'm looking, and I can get Talia and Skull to Strahkov, so I'm going to try to do that because I figure if they can hit them, it's gonna hurt. And I'm just trying to see if Kromac can go up and clear out that command attachment. And I need to move the stone, so I decided to go with the Wild Argus. He charges Ruin. He does a combo bite and chips in 3 damage, and that's it. After that, I go with the shifting stones, and I shift the one up to block line of sight to Talia. She runs by, so then she doesn't take a free strike. I do have corpses, so it would just be 1 point of damage anyways. And here I am just seeing where my Death Wolves will end up, so I don't block any lanes with the last one. And I'm wanting to keep them in command range so for next turn, so I end up just going in behind there. I move up the pot. I get 1 corpse again. I should have a bunch in it, but I only have the 1, so I give 1 to Skull, move up Kromac, and kill that unit attachment. After that, I go with the Death Wolves. So Talia's mat 9 on the charge. I boost to hit, and I have Caleb go and body block for Kromac for next turn. I hit the charge attack with Talia, and then I do like 5 points of damage, and then I need like 8s to hit, and I apparently only Strahkov can roll 8s this game, so I end up missing all my other attacks.
Khador, turn 4. Okay, so Ruin is out of power-up range, so he does not power up. Drago does. Great. I upkeep all my spells for free because Strakhov is resourceful, which I love. I'm looking at what I can do. I've got Death Wolves in my face. I've got Drago all Shadowbound. I'm thinking maybe Bestial's not up for the first turn ever. So I'm like, oh my god, I can cast spells that thing Warcasters want to do. So I'm like, okay. I could probably get overrun on Drago and do stuff. So I load up Drago and then I spend 1 to shake Shadowbind so I can actually move. Ruin converts that soul into a focus and goes and punches Argus and kills it and gets a soul back. So that's a thing. Could have had 2 souls on. Doesn't really matter. Strahkov goes and starts shanking at some Death Wolves. He's like, get off me, Death Wolves! So he starts shanking them. And he kills 1 pretty quick here. And then doesn't manage to kill the other one. I go all out and still don't kill the other one. Then I cast Overrun on Drago. And then I sprint away. Take a free strike. It misses. I go, cool, awesome, I'm back there now. So now I'm outside of 13. So outside of assassination range of Kromac. Drago chops a rock and kills it. And berserks and chops a Death Wolf. And kills it. And then the Overrun will trigger. And he'll get to advance the general direction of forward. Into like another stone and other Death Wolf. Is what's gonna happen. There we go. So I overrun. Oh, the pause was us trying to figure out the timing of berserks and overruns, because he overruns up and then does his berserk attack into the rock and kills it, and then does his Berserk attack into the Death Wolf, and does a point of damage because of the corpse fading, and then he uses his other initial, and he buys one, and kills the Death Wolf, and then he uses his last one to put up his imprint, and then I see if he explodes, and he doesn't.
Circle, turn 4. So it's looking pretty rough for me, so I'm going to go for a Hail Mary. My pot can move up and get within 10 of Strahkov to Spirit Lash, so I need like 8, and I just get it, so then I pull him 5 inches forward, and then I roll boxcars for damage, get a bunch of damage in, and my Gatorman pot guy swings on Drago, misses, and gets pushed an inch away. After that, I walk up with Kromac, and then I jump, and I'm in there, and it's needing a 7 to hit. I boost to hit, and I boost damage and kill him to win the game. So it was a good game, yeah. Afterthoughts. So this is our second time trying Brawlmachine in the same scenario, and one thing I really noticed was the difference on how live the scenario felt in these 3 games. I think between me getting rid of a bunch of my solos and you having a little bit faster troops to contest, it felt like it went from where scenario was super live to it felt kind of dead in these 3 games in this one.
Yeah, the way I built my list with all the troops, and I had more solos, and I was able to be in the scenario game pretty present, and that made a huge difference.
Yeah, and then things like, I feel like the Death Wolves are like crazy strong in this style of game because there's not a lot of attacks, and seeing how they can just negate attacks is always
it's nuts. Like they would overtake and Pac-Man through all my troops, killing all my dudes, and then when I'd go to kill them, 1 point, 1 point, 1 point. It takes forever to kill them.
And like being native defense 14, it's like hitting them isn't always guaranteed. Like you have Ruin, who's mat 8, so he's pretty good at hitting them.
He missed.
But like the Doom Reavers needing 7s means that it's not like guaranteed to even hit them. So
the Death Wolves were crazy good.
I mean, you were rolling fairly good this game with hitting 8s fairly consistently.
Yeah, it was not everything you can count on, but it was great.
Yeah, every once in a while it would be you'd miss some of my stuff, which was always nice.
Yep.
I do think that I made a big mistake by not remembering that my pot can collect corpses just passively, so then
you would have had so many.
I would have had so many corpses, and then when I went in on Strakhov, I would have been able to boost the Spirit Lash, so the hitting the 8 would have been more likely. And so it was something like that. I do think that even with the mix-up on game 2, like Kromac still would have.
Oh yeah, Kromac could have killed Strahkov.
Yeah, like without that,
making me death 5 and having like 14 attacks at power 14, you would have got to kill him.
Yeah, so it was. I feel like it showcased that, and then the fact that Strahkov likes being in the front line so much, being able to put up Bestial and be like, you can't do any of your movement shenanigans that Strahkov likes to do.
Bestial was nuts.
Extra mean.
Like Bestial was just gimping my wizards, gimping my warcaster. It was crazy. The other thing, I guess, for that game, Lord of the Feast. You've played him into me a lot back when he had a 10-inch bird at 2-inch reach. And he was just oppressive then, because it was so hard to keep him from just killing all kinds of stuff. And now that he's got 8-inch bird, 1-inch reach, he's still really strong, he's still really good, but it's in proportion to what a solo should be.
Yeah, a 6-point solo, yeah, for sure. Like, I did notice that too, where since the change, he feels like he's in a really good spot, actually, where it's not like, oh, you're a total dickhead for bringing Lord of the Feast in on a friendly game.
Like, he was nuts.
To where he's just, like, good. Like, he's kind of similar to Harlowe, where Harlowe, like, he's a good solo, but he's not, like, crazy oppressive.
Yeah.
Like,
Harlow's nuts. Like, Harlowe almost one-rounded that Argus, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's not... And, like, he does it, like... If you don't have snipe on him, he's not
so bad. Yeah.
So bad. Like, if you can get snipe on him, he's ridiculous. Like,
oh yeah.
But
not being line of sight is crazy.
Yeah, for sure. But so I do like I think this is my first or second game playing Lord of the Feast after the changes, and I think he's in like a perfect spot for like the power level that he should be at, for sure.
Other point I wanted to bring up. So I've heard some talk online about people don't like Drago that much. and I like him. And I thought it was kind of cool to show off. You can make a defense 15 Khador heavy. He's still one of the armor 18 ones, but he's pretty cool. I mean, there's also a chance that he explodes when you use him, so that's a bit of a gamble. He didn't explode this game, so that was cool.
I for the most part ignored him because between Grey Winds and defense 15, it's like if I can take out your movement in the first couple attacks, then it's not so bad. But I need to hit those first couple of attacks.
Yeah, I had a defense 15 Drago most games, and then you just weren't attacking him. And I was like, come on, attack him so you can miss, and it'll be cool. And you're like, nah, I'm just not gonna.
Because I think Ghetorix needs an 8 to hit him.
Yeah, it's super good.
You're probably having to boost to hit. So
yeah, but Def 10 Ruins is still a lot easier to hit.
Yeah, I just can't kill him ever. I did notice that with Circle, it felt like I didn't have really good armor cracking. So, and part of it was I was rolling below average a lot of the time when I was fighting Jacks, and then when I was fighting your troops, I'd blow up the damage.
Because I think we mathed it out, and like Ghetorix should kill Ruin on average dice, but
if everything was average, he should like overkill him by like couple points.
But every time you tried it, you always had to whiff it all the damage roll.
Yeah, for 2 Brawlmachine reports in a row, Ghetorix couldn't one round any heavies, which was a little bit sad for me at least. But
we had some real good games. We still never made use of the sideboard yet. I think I'll be looking in the future at building like different mercenary options into it, and especially if I play mercs, I'll have tons of options. But like even playing Khador, if I run like Winter Guard, there's more mercenary options that kind of complement Winter Guard, I think. And like I could definitely see you needing different utility stuff different mercs would bring. But that's more how I see using the sideboard, I guess, is this mercenary options.
See, and when looking at the sideboard, what I'm wanting to do is put Ghetorix in the list and then be able to switch him out for something, but because he's 19 points, I physically can't get enough points in the sideboard to switch him out.
I don't think it's meant to like rebuild your whole list, right? It's just meant to like bring in that little bit of utility that you might be missing in a certain matchup.
I can see that. It's just I don't know. I feel like it would be better if I could switch out Ghetorix.
Don't rewrite your list.
That doesn't rewrite your list. It just changes out.
It's a
one heavy into maybe one heavy and a light instead of having all your eggs in the basket on Ghetorix. You can't one round a heavy apparently. So
I like the concept where it's at. I'll just need to actually try using the sideboard at some point.
I like the concept for the sideboard. I just want it to do something different than what you want it. Like, I can put in a bunch of mercenary options, but then most of the time, because I have so many points into Ghetorix, I can't just pull out one other thing and slot them in for the most part. Like,
you kind of need those like interchangeable solos.
Yeah, and so it's maybe just how I'm building my list too, but like.
Might try. I think if we do another one in the future here, we're gonna try to incorporate the sideboard. I think because we've been ignoring it so far.
Well, I actually built a sideboard for this game, and I was like, I like the solos that are in there, and the options that I had in it weren't easily changeable. Yeah. So it was one of those things where didn't really come up for me. What I really wanted was to be able to switch out like Ghetorix for like the Warpwolf Stalker and like a Gallows Grove for some like Arc Node and denying tough type deal, and then still having a hard hitting heavy. But so I see where they're coming from. I just wish the sideboard was a little bit bigger, especially if you get into a really bad match. Like if we didn't talk about the matchup beforehand and we're in a really bad matchup, being able to switch out more stuff might be better because you don't have that second list of like this is going to be a hard counter. I guess I'm just fucked, kind of.
Yeah. There's a few matchups like that.
But other than that, unless you have any other last parting thoughts,
as always, Brawlmachine was super fun. We had a good time playing.
Yeah, I really want to reiterate the 3-game format. I think is the best thing about Brawlmachine, being able to maybe learn a lesson about your opponent's list and then being able to try to fix whatever you learned or fix any mistakes that you did. So I really like that. So, Other than that, thanks for watching Retaliatory Strike.